What's up, everybody? I'm going to tell you how I could grow any business to $1 million in revenue using this formula and paying attention to the phases that businesses go through. Almost every business is the same. A financial statement is a financial statement. And if you want to grow a business, you need to pay attention to these things because this is what I've used to grow my businesses to get to that next level. So I'm going to tell you how you can get to $1 million in revenue by going through these 4 phases of business. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. So let's get into this first phase. The first phase is you just started your business. You formed it. You're preparing the business for the first sale. You're getting a website. You're getting your marketing. You're getting your logo. You're naming your business. And you're getting that first sale. And that first sale is always very interesting because you're probably going to make mistakes on the service or product that you provided. And you're learning. You're learning through that whole process. And that's phase 1, right? A lot of businesses don't get out of phase 1 because a lot of businesses just fail from the beginning. They don't have a good idea. They haven't thought it through. They haven't thought through all these things. And a lot of them just never get their first customer, right? So to get out of phase 1, you just got to plan ahead and be ruthless and not give up. Phase 2 is the growth phase. What that is, hey, we understand how to get sales. We understand how to make sure our product and service is great. People are referring us business because but we're still growing. We see a little bit of positive reinforcement. Phase 1, we're scared to death. We think we might go under. We don't know. We haven't got a sale yet. But phase 2, this is where you're growing. This is where the potential of you failing is starting to blur a little. You're like, I think I'm going to make it, right? Because I'm starting to bring in money. You're starting to really grow. And you as the owner are the only person in the business. So you're doing the sales, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the product and the service, you're doing everything yourself. And you should in phase 2. Because no one's going to grow your business at the beginning like you, the owner. Okay, so phase 2, you're just hitting the ground. You're starting to make, at the end of phase 2, you're starting to make so much money that you're like, man, this is awesome. I'm making all the money in the world. And then what happens, and this is the biggest break point that I see that businesses go through, and they stay in phase 2, because at the end of phase 2, a lot of business owners take their eye off the ball. And what that means is they stop focusing on the sales. They start focusing on all the stuff that does not matter until you get over $1 million in revenue. And what that is the technology, buying fancy shirts or whatever equipment, buying all this stuff that isn't really adding back to the revenue of your company. I always say it's like a squirrel. They're getting distracted by everything, right? Because they have extra money. And the fear of failure has gone away. That's almost the worst spot to be when you're a business owner, is that you know you're not going to fail. You're making great money, probably more money than if you were to go work for somebody else, but you don't have freedom because it's just you, right? There's no freedom when it's just you as the owner. So it's just you. You don't have any employees, but you're making great money. But to transition to phase 3, you have to start delegating. That means you get a secretary, you get someone to help you manage part of the business, an account manager. I'm not talking about management here. I'm just talking about somebody else who can really be kind of a broken off piece of you, right? So that's how you get into phase 3. And what happens in phase 3, and people flirt with going from phase 2 to phase 3 back and forth. And I went through this, right? You hire somebody, it doesn't work out, you fire somebody, and you're like, man, why do we even do this? Why are we even trying to find somebody? Why are we even trying to hire people? There's nobody out there. Have you ever heard of an owner say this? There's no good workers out there. Nobody wants to work hard. It's so hard to find good people. It's better to just keep your company small, right? No. That is somebody who went to phase 3 and they jumped back to phase 2, right? So what phase 3 is, you're hiring, firing. And the whole point of hiring, and a lot of people don't understand this, the whole point of hiring in phase 3 is that you're hiring people to give them some of your work so you get back to sales. Okay? As an owner, as you grow your business, your time's going to be taken away from what you're good at, which is sales, marketing, business development, whatever you want to call it. Going into growing your business is hiring people to take that stuff off your plate. And when they take that off your plate, you're able to then go back and continue to grow the company because of what you've done so far. So if you've grown your company to 300 to 400, 500 grand all by yourself, you're great. You're the best salesman at the company. Why are you trying to hire a salesperson or hire somebody else to develop business when you should do that? Okay, so that's what phase 3 is how you are successful in phase 3 is that you have a team of people underneath you in which you're able to free yourself up to focus solely on continuing to develop business, nurture those relationships of current clients so you get more referrals. But that's what phase 3 is doing. A lot of people don't get into the end of phase 3 because they're scared after they fired somebody. They fired somebody once and then they had to hire somebody again. They had to fire somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, it's such a mental toll and they can't get over it. But you have to know that you're going to hire, you're going to fire, you're going to hire, you're going to fire. And then at the end of phase 3, what you have is a team of people in which, hey, you can't get good at hiring until you've hired a lot of people and made mistakes and had to fire people. You can't know who's talent until you've gone through people that are untalented. You can't know a good employee until you've seen a bad employee. So you can't expect that you, on your first or second hire, that you're going to get it right. You're not going to get it right. You're going to have to hire, fire. Oh my gosh, like, oh, we learned our lesson on that. I remember the first person Cammie and I brought on, we gave them so much freedom. And we just assumed that person would think the same way we do. It was a big mistake. You don't come in with a ton of freedom. You come in with more strict, and we learned that. But that's one thing that we had to learn because for some reason in our head we thought it was the opposite. It wasn't the opposite. We had to learn that. So phase 3 is going through those learning lessons, and a lot of people get gun shy and they get a little scared and they revert back to what's comfortable, right? Because what's comfortable is phase 2. You have extra money and you're not failing and you're making good money. But that isn't a business. That's a job. You being the only person in the business is a job. So going into phase 3, at the end of it, you have what's left over from the battlefield of you hiring and firing, and you're left with a great team. Okay, so then to phase 4 is the next step in which you should be close to $1 million. Phase 3, you might be at $1 million, but really going into phase 4 is when you really propel your company. Phase 4 is finding another person in sales and bringing in management to manage people, because eventually if you have 4 to 5 people in your company, you're probably going to be over $1 million, and eventually you can't manage them all if you're in business development. I firmly believe that you as the owner will remain in business development for a long time. So on the management side of your business, managing those people, you need to delegate that to somebody else so you focus on developing the business and the relationships. I will tell you, being in business, you as the owner, it'll be a long time until you're out of the sales side, because you're really good at it, okay? So phase 4, that's where you're bringing in management, where you're saying, hey, no longer are you kind of telling the secretary what to do. No longer are you telling the assistants what to do. You're going to have a manager who's managing that office so you can continue to focus on that sales. And then eventually you're going to bring in a salesperson who's able to work on smaller stuff, and you're going to work on bigger stuff. And that continues to go up and up and up. You continue to work on bigger and bigger stuff, and other salespeople come in and work on smaller stuff, and then your management side continues to build out on the company. So those are the 4 phases. Outside of that, obviously there's just massive amount of business and so many different other things to really think about. But to really get to $1 million, the biggest hurdles you're going to come through is focusing on sales. That's in phase 2. You don't want to be a distracted squirrel going all over the place. No, stop paying attention to all that other stuff and focus on sales and commit, have the stomach to go through hire, fire, and go through that on phase 3. See it to the other side, and that's when you're going to have a business, not a job. So if you got value out of today's video, hit like and subscribe. Thanks.